I didn't get invited to the Democratic debate because I'm too popular. This is Corey, and this is the O The Anthem podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. Welcome to episode 271 of the O The Anthem podcast, broadcasting to you from the hashtag OTA LA studios, high above the 110 freeway in beautiful downtown Los Angeles, California. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for listening to us on your podcatcher of choice. And I'm going to make it easy for you because there's so many podcatchers out there, and I want you to find the right one for you. Go to anchor.fm/O The Anthem, and then find the podcatcher that you want, whether it's Apple, Google, Spotify, whatever. Just click right there. It'll take you right to the show page. You can subscribe. And if possible, rating and reviewing would be much appreciated if it's available at that platform.
And, of course, you can find more O The Anthem at O The Anthem on Twitter and Instagram. You're watching right now live at facebook.com/O The Anthem. You can find all of the O The Anthem videos at youtube.com/O The Anthem. And, of course, everything O The Anthem related at otheanthem.com.
Yes, indeed.
So let's start off this episode where we probably should have ended last week's episode, and that's a happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, belated as it is. Thank God for both of us. Neither of our fathers actually listen to this show, because then we might not have dads to say happy Father's Day.
I don't know if my dad listens or not. I know every once in a while I'll get a comment on like the website, where it'll be like, "Tell Rob to shut up." But that doesn't mean that Dad actually listened.
Right, I feel like that's just like a freeze frame on YouTube of me being like,
It's something that my dad does from time to time.
Yeah.
One of my favorite dad things is
we know where Brendan got it from.
I have an old friend, Christopher, and I've known him since I moved into my parents' house when I was like 5 or so. So I've known him for 30 years now.
Okay.
And I'll tell my dad, like, "Oh, I'm going over to visit Christopher." And he's like, "Oh, well, tell his wife that I said hello and I hope everything's well. And say hello to the kids for me. Make sure that they both know that I said hello. And, pet Obi, the dog. Mm-hmm. Make sure that Obi knows that I'm sending my love. And then tell Christopher to shut up." And then I'll go there and I'll do that. I'll say hi to the wife. I'll say hi to the kids. I'll pet the dog. And I'll look at Christopher and I said, "My dad said, shut up." And then every single time, without fail, Christopher gets annoyed. He's like, I don't understand.
What
it's
did I
like
ever
a Woody
do
Allen character. It's like, I don't know what I did. It's like
yes.
you understand that he's doing this just to get a row out of you. But,
Meanwhile, my dad is possibly the nicest person on the face of the earth. Corey does an excellent impression. Corey, why don't you do my Denzel impression?
Well, I think that we're going to stay in because the 50's backed up all the way to Denton.
That's basically that's it right there.
It's like how you see like the angel and devil on shoulders kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I like to think of your dad as Angel Reagan.
Yeah.
Like
he could do
Reagan
that.
is Devil Reagan. Like
I could see that.
The two sides of the coin there.
Yeah. Weird thing
of
though.
Some alternate universe neutral Reagan.
Where real Reagan is the devil, my dad is weird thing. Video chatted with my parents yesterday. A couple of old people answered the phone, and I was like, "What is happening?" But my dad fell asleep in the middle of the video call. He just like leans his head on my mom's shoulder, which was super cute, by the way, but then fell asleep. And I was just like, "It is 10 o'clock. What is going on?" But first of all, I'm the asshole kid that forgot that there's Pacific time and Eastern time, and I'm like, "I got plenty of time today. I'll call them." And then it's just like, "Oh wait, it's 7. That's 10. I should probably call." Yeah.
That's the bane of my existence is Pacific time.
Yeah.
Because I always convince myself that nobody wants to hear from me in the time that has passed. Like, my mom is like easily up till midnight, like pretty much every single night. But I'll be like, "Oh, it's 7 o'clock Pacific time, so it means it's 10 o'clock there." She's definitely asleep.
Too late. Far too late. I also think that there's like a mix in the time. I'm like, all right, it's 8 o'clock Pacific, which makes it 2 a.m. Eastern. So that's far too late to make a call. I'll just wait until tomorrow. But
I'm not doing this. I'm not waking them up.
Yeah, I don't want to wake them up in the middle of their sleep. Also, my parents are getting to be night owls in their old age. Like, I remember in high school where, like, I would be up till 11, and I'd get to, like, good night, and they would go to bed at 9. Meanwhile, like, my mom's watching and reading her books and doing her Sudoku until 11:30 now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, But happy Father's Day, Dad, who'll never see this. I was about to post on Instagram, and I had the same thought. I'm like, he's never going to see it.
Yeah.
And even if I tag my mom, she's probably not with him, and she's not going to show him. She's going to be like, "Oh, that's sweet."
I posted a picture of my dad
Yeah.
thinking that maybe a couple months from now he might see it.
Right.
Like
yeah.
it'll show up at the top of his newsfeed when he eventually gets into Facebook again. And he'll just be like, he'll make some sort of wise ass remark, I'm sure, and then we'll move on from there.
As soon as my mom is retired and people don't have to find her anymore, like so she's like retired-ish now, but she's on the school board and everything. I imagine they will quickly make that shift to the Louise and Denzel Facebook
I hate
account.
those people. I'm sorry, but I hate those people.
But he doesn't have one.
I hate the people who have like shared email accounts too and stuff like that.
They do that too.
Yeah.
But it's he doesn't have one, and people are constantly like, "Hey,
Like it costs money to have a Facebook profile. Just make your.
But still, it's like he'll never check it, and he'll set the password, and nobody will know what it is, and he won't remember what it is, and he'll text it to himself, which will end up being a tweet to an account we didn't even know existed, and then it's lost forever. But yeah, they'll definitely because everybody hits her up all the time, like, "Hey, tell Denzel blah blah blah," and she's like, "I'm just passing messages. Like, we got to get you your own page, or make this so it's like." Just send the message as if you're talking to him, and I'll tell him.
Right.
But anyway, some programming notes.
I like to. Just one last thing about
go
Father's
ahead.
Day. I called my dad for Father's Day. He had surgery not too long ago, so Rachel always wants to know like how he's doing, like
Right.
physically, like is he recovering well and stuff like that. So I was talking to my dad for half hour or something like that, and hung up the phone. And she's just like, "So how's he doing? How's his recovery going?" And I'm just like, you know what? Never came up.
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
arguing about politics the whole time.
Sorry about that,
Never
yeah.
even bothered to talk about it. So.
But okay, well, you know, it's
It's also proves how much better of a person Rachel is. That
Yeah.
she's like,
Yeah.
she's always thinking about like, you know, like make sure you check up on their surgery, make sure that you're seeing how they're doing and stuff like that. And I'm,
she thinks about those things. Yeah. Oh yeah, programming note.
yes,
For the next couple weeks, things are going to be done a little bit differently. We are going to be recording for. Let me pull my calendar up here. For next week's episode, which should fall on the 25th. For the next week after that, which will be the 2nd, and the week after that, which will be the 9th. We will all record all of those episodes on Sunday. So Sunday the 23rd, Sunday the 30th, and Sunday the 7th, you'll be able to watch. I know we have a lot of East Coast people who, when we get started at 8 o'clock Pacific, it's a little late for you. So we'll be recording mid-afternoon on Sunday. It'll be a perfect opportunity to come in, watch us record live, be a part of the show, comment, ask questions, the whole nine. So the next 3 Sundays, 30th, 7th, and 14th, or I'm sorry, 23rd, 30th, and 7th, will be weeks we're recording on Sunday. Now, for the week of the 16th, that's going to be interesting because Corey is...
we might actually have to do the 6th instead of the 7th.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you get another job?
Well, no, I realized now that I have everything set in my calendar.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, my calendar is like just every single day for the next month and a half here.
I don't even want to show you my calendar. Yeah, anyway.
But like, it's the 6th seems like it's gonna be a day too. So.
Okay, or the 7th, you mean?
No, the 6th.
So the 6th is a day to record?
Yeah, because I have something on the 7th.
Okay.
So
the
23rd,
6th
30th, 6th.
6th, 23rd, and 30th.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Now, the next week is the episode due on the 16th. We are not quite sure where we're going to record that one yet. We may do a double feature some week. We may find some time on Saturday, Sunday, or Monday to record. So stay posted over the next couple weeks.
We should be able to do Sunday the 15th.
Okay. No, wait. Sunday is the 14th.
I mean,
Monday is the 15th.
we could do either.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I
stay
think.
posted for a
Yeah.
confirmation for that. And then if nothing else changes, we'll be back to our regular schedule, recording on Monday night on the 22nd. So you have nearly a month of opportunities here to catch us on the weekend and recording the live show. So come out, listen, turn those notifications on, hit that bell, and subscribe so that you can watch us live as we record.
Yeah, and the big reason for all this is that busy season has approached the film industry, and thank God,
couldn't come any sooner.
And I have a short film, a digital thing to do with Vogue, an AFI shoot. We have AT&T Shape this weekend.
Right.
I have a feature that starts next week and goes for the next 3 weeks. I have another feature that goes immediately after that. The day after I'm done with one, I'm going on another, plus a bunch of other little things that are like trying to like trickle their way into the holes of my calendar. But
all the way down to the 15th.
yeah,
Basically.
16th.
16th. Yeah.
So,
Busy time.
you know, it's funny though. it's one of those things like when you're really busy, all you want to do is not be busy, and then when you're not busy, all you want to do is be busy. It's never.
Meanwhile,
you never find the balance.
While Corey is working that crazy schedule, I'll continue to do the 70 to 80 hours per week that I've been working for the last, year,
20 years.
I'll try to fit in the podcast wherever we can. But so just make sure that you check it out. You'll have an opportunity to see us live, which is special for some people because they don't get to see that very often.
Yep.
But moving on to the news of the week.
Wait,
go ahead.
There was one other thing you wanted to send out a.
Oh, yes.
Hey, congratulations on.
Back, not a program note, more like an Anthem Alliance note. A big congratulations to someone who I know listens to the podcast a lot. She announced online finally that her and her husband are expecting. So to Alyssa, we hope you hear this episode. I know things have been crazy because you're pregnant and stuff, but congratulations from us to you.
Yes.
Looking forward to pictures not only of Burrito, but now of
baby.
I hope they don't name the kid Burrito too. That'll be confusing. So hopefully you don't name the kid Burrito and you'll have 2 burritos. But congratulations to you, and looking forward to all the pictures and the updates.
Name it in honor of the league and name it Chalupa Batman.
Oh, hey, yes, could do that.
There is
also, we highly recommend you play the podcast on earphones directly into your bell. Not just Alyssa, but any of our pregnant fans. You should be channeling us directly into the fetus, just because. Why wouldn't you? That's just little chunks of wisdom and a few curse words right into the fetus there.
How long does it take for children to talk? I don't know.
18 months.
18 months?
Yeah.
Just 18 months into it, just like the little baby's like looking up at the screen, sees Bill de Blasio on it. It's just like, he doesn't have a chance to win. It's like his first words.
Yes. Look at it. Oh, and I recognize right things. Around the election time too. It'd be perfect. So congratulations, you guys.
Yes.
We'd forgotten about it last week or the week before whenever there was the announcement. So I do know that Alyssa tries to listen weekly, so I want to make sure that she hears that at some point. So
onward.
Well, and one other thing, which I just thought about, which I thought is what you were reminding me of until I remembered the thing you were reminding me of. 3-year anniversary of Heretics is happening right now.
Yeah.
So you guys are missing out if you don't take the opportunity to go to youtube.com/O The Anthem and check out the Heretics series. It has aged like a fine wine over the last 3 years, and has really, I think, kicked me in the butt to find the next new thing. We got a couple of irons in the fire, and while Corey is taking this time to go actually, work on stuff, I am going to do my best to try to finish some scripts so we can get some stuff shot.
Spend some time in Senor Ortega's barrio.
Yes. There's we got actually a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of things that could be coming. Not the least of which I'll mention again at the end. But on the 21st, you can now pre-order. That's this week.
Yeah.
You can pre-order the next book, which is available for pre-order everywhere. So go check that out. The Chair, available everywhere. So go pick it up. And I guess we should talk about it next week, about what The Chair is. Yeah. It's actually a story that's not in the movement universe. So for those of you who are like, oh, God, another thing with it. No, it's completely separate. And I hope you enjoy it. And I should check and make sure that that is all ready to go because I can't say for sure it is. And it's this week. So this Friday, new book available. Anyway, back to it.
Yes.
So let's get started with the episode. So there's one big thing that happened in sports ball this week that you really wanted to talk about. It's an LA-centric news story. And as you know, we are both Baltimore's and LA's local podcasts. So how do we do that? Bi-coastal. That's how. Anyway, so what is that story you have this week, Corey?
Yeah, so we're not huge NBA fans here, but the finals just wrapped up. Congratulations to the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, and to Drake, because he had a lot to do with that.
And to Canada in general for winning their first championship since '93. So
anything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even hockey, which is their sport.
Even hockey. Congratulations to the Blues, too, who won their first Stanley Cup, which happened the week before, and we missed as well.
Apparently had the highest ratings for any NHL final in the last, years and years.
Yeah.
When did the Capitals get knocked out?
In the second round?
Oh, didn't hear a lot about that. No, like win a cup or kill me this year. Are you
No,
satiated with the one?
I think I felt like I was. Have you ever heard the stories about like kids who were like locked up in cages or something like that, or like kidnapped or something like that?
Where are you going with this?
And then
Okay,
they get like one Happy Meal at some point along the way
And
instead
there's
of eating
normal.
dirt, and then they're just like, I'm satiated. I'm so happy for the next month because I had the
enough.
one Happy Meal.
Yeah.
Like that's sort of how I felt. I got the one Stanley Cup, and I'm like, well, it's not really right of me to complain now. Like
I'm going to use a different analogy. You were waiting for a long time to lose your virginity, and you finally did, and you're just like, nah, I'll have sex again at some point. I'm not really in a rush.
I don't really have to push it now.
I wasn't even impressive the first time, so maybe I should practice at home a little bit before we get back to the show. Anyway, yes. So the big story of the week, the big local story.
Yeah, but Anthony Davis, one of the 5 best players in the NBA, if you know, roughly in everyone's top 5, got traded to the Lakers for 3 players, including Lonzo Ball, was probably the most notable of them all, and 3 first-round draft picks. And I thought this interesting because, honestly, we don't really have trades like this in any sport. What's interesting about this one is that his contract is expiring at the end of next season, but
Right.
the idea is that he was probably just going to agree to a contract extension as soon as the trade went through.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not really like it's for an expiring contract, but it's like it never in sports do you really get the opportunity where one of the 5 best players gets traded.
And this is when
Like
when
in
I-
their prime too. I mean, he's only 26 years old, so he's got many years ahead of him.
when I was reading this story, I thought about all those years ago and the Madden trades that you set up where you're trading away like half the team to get a player.
Yeah.
And that's what it kind of seems like. It's like we're going to give up a lot to get this guy in. But in this case, it was a lot of draft picks and players who weren't that good, despite
Well-
whatever his dad may think.
I wouldn't say that. I think that hold on here. I'm trying to pull up the actual.
I'm really happy
Trade.
the Ball family is moving to New Orleans, though, by the way. That's exciting for me.
Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart. Wait a minute. Oh, that was last season. Yeah, where they offered.
I was gonna say, that
basically
sounds
the
like a whole
trade.
team. What are we
Yeah,
doing?
they did trade 3 players.
Okay.
And Ball, Ingram, and Hart. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
And a bunch of first round draft picks.
3 first-round draft picks,
Yeah.
including this year's number 4 overall.
Yeah.
Which gives New Orleans not only 3 starting players, but also the 4th pick in the draft and the number 1 overall pick in the draft,
Yeah.
which is going to go towards getting Zion.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
It's a good
honestly,
first round.
it says something about your sport and your ability to capture the attention of other people that I was like desperately refreshing podcasts all weekend, waiting for one of the podcasts that I listen to that sometimes talks about basketball, just so I could hear their talk.
Yeah.
Like, I listen to Bill Simmons. I'm not really like a huge basketball person anymore, but like I still like listening to him talk about basketball. And I was like constantly refreshing, going like, "When's the new episode coming out? I need to hear about this."
Oh,
I
by
need
the
to
way,
hear people
except for-
talk about this trade.
Except for Pocket Cast was down all day on Sunday. Did you notice that?
No.
Yeah. Nothing would refresh. And you couldn't download anything that wasn't already downloaded. It's a pain in my ass.
Maybe that was what was causing me the.
Could be.
Yeah.
Pocket, there was a little announcement. And I read it, and I'm like, oh, well, this is why. And they're like, thanks for the sorry about the inconvenience yesterday, but thanks for your patience.
You know
We're
you're
updating
desperate.
everything."
You know you're desperate for podcasts when not only are you like refreshing the app all the time,
Yeah.
but you're checking the Twitter feeds of the people who are like
Waiting for
like,
them to announce.
just
the new
waiting to
episode.
say like, "Oh, I'm about to sit down with Rosello and do this podcast." I'm like, "Yes,
All right.
it's coming in an hour or so." Like,
But yeah, so it's apparently a big thing. It's been Brandon Robinson, who a friend of mine from Hofstra, who I follow very closely, called this trade early in the season. Said that he thought that this would happen at the end of the year, and it did. And everybody's kind of behind the 8 ball on him as far as that's concerned. But yeah, so apparently it's a big deal. I don't follow basketball, so I don't really know.
well,
but
another thing that makes this like such a big deal is that the Lakers in themselves have been having such a fraught offseason.
yeah,
With like Magic Johnson leaving, and there was a story that came out in ESPN not too long ago about like all the infighting that was happening in the Lakers organization.
Right.
And one interesting story that I just thought it was too good not to share again was Rob Pelinka is the GM of the Lakers, and he was at some sort of conference or like talking in front of a meeting or something like that. And Pelinka, before becoming the GM of the Lakers, was the agent for Kobe Bryant.
Okay.
So he told a story about how Kobe Bryant had seen The Dark Knight and was so blown away by it that he wanted to meet Heath Ledger. And that Kobe and Heath Ledger had dinner in New York, and then later that night, Kobe had an incredible night at Madison Square Garden. Unlike what any basketball had ever been seen before. Like, it was top of the charts.
Yeah.
The problem is that Heath Ledger died before the Dark Knight was released.
Yeah.
So this story was so easily provable false. Like, it's not even like one of those Trump lines, like where it's just like, well, maybe if you think about how he said it, but you put it into this context, like it's like, no, it's just clearly there's no way that anybody knew about the performance of Heath Ledger.
The dinner was actually at a psychic's store, and it was a seance. So there you go, sir.
How dare you call him?
Yeah.
No, but Pelinka needed a big win, and this apparently will work for them. So, favorites are for Lakers to make a little run here. They better win a championship in the next couple of years, or else this whole thing is
big expense.
Yeah, it would potentially ruin their franchise forever if they don't. Like, they could be.
Nothing will ruin it. It's the Lakers. Nothing will ruin it forever.
Well, I mean, if you have no draft picks and you have no money, then that doesn't.
You still got Jack.
Well, out
and
there
Chris.
lobbing up threes.
I just mean on the sidelines, yelling and.
Yeah.
I would go to the game just to see the stars that came out. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
But was there anything else from sports ball? Orioles suck. Have we broken 25 wins yet? No.
No, I don't think we've won since the last.
Yeah.
I wanted to go up to Oakland at some point in these 3 games to see the O's, but it's not going to work because my schedule is too crazy now.
Also, why would you drive that far to see them lose? I'll
so
go
I
to
can
Anaheim,
scratch another thing off my ballpark list.
Okay, I guess maybe. But yeah, so there's a guy at my work who is a Royals fan, and we started out his like tenure there talking about, of course, 2014, and like, oh no, I was in Baltimore, and he's like, I was in Kansas City. I'm like, yeah, so that was a crazy series, and now we're just like, yeah, so who wins more games this year, do you think? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if the Orioles are going to break 47. I said they can't get worse than last year, and I might be wrong about that. So, and apparently, like, things are all just going wrong. Like, they can't win. The manager's yelling in his post-game conferences. So, on the plus side, it's like 100 days till football. So,
good news is I don't watch it that much.
Yeah.
I'm not like constantly berated with the.
So, and I was thinking I might actually take a trip down to San Diego for a weekend, and then I'll stay for the Monday, Tuesday games. Like, I feel like it's great to have a nice weekend in San Diego and then have the Orioles come into town and ruin it right before I have to come back and go to work. But yeah, I mean, maybe I'll do that. But
I mean, if you go in with the proper expectation,
they're gonna lose. Surprise,
like
me,
when
boys.
we went to Miami and we're hoping the Ravens lose.
Yes.
Like, we can have another trip like that.
Well, I mean,
we're just here to enjoy the ballpark.
I think
we
that
don't need a win.
We already got the draft pick pretty locked up as far as that's concerned. So at least when we went down to Miami, it was like, hey, we're going to Miami. We're coming from Baltimore. The weather's going to be fantastic. And yeah, maybe they'll get a draft pick.
Remind me, we have to talk about some Cuban sandwich place that me and Roberto found. I don't know if it's a place that you had already previously looked at.
I don't know. I'm still looking for a good Cuban sandwich in
But
LA,
this one made a list of like top 40 foods you need to try before you die. So
okay.
And it's a Cubano in LA. So
okay, now is it a real Cuban sandwich?
Yes.
Like the right type of bread, ham, the whole.
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. So that's all we have then for sports ball this week. Unless you get nothing else.
No, we'll let you know how those Cubans are after we eat them.
Yeah. And 100 days till football. So hey, let's go. Or less than 100 days till football. All right. So moving on. Announcement this week about the Democratic National Debate.
Yes.
And while last time it was 5 in debate number 1, the Democrats are looking a little like the Republicans at this point. I'm looking at the picture on your screen right now. It's a full field.
We have 2 10-person debates.
Ooh.
So 20 total candidates
Yeah.
who have met the the very easy threshold for making
Yeah.
the debate. I mean, like,
Well, I don't know if it's easy. It's just in the splintered party that we have, it's easier than it would ever be to get like 60,000 individual donations and
you need to be 1% in a
yeah.
poll somewhere.
yeah.
I mean, like, honestly, like, I feel like if I was the DNC, I could look at this list and just throw out immediately 5 people who shouldn't even be here.
Okay, go ahead. Who are you throwing out if you're the DNC?
Who am I throwing out?
Yeah.
I'm throwing out, I mean, like, if I'm talking about, like, the 5 worst candidates they have here.
Yeah.
Tim Ryan.
Okay.
Michael Bennett. Eric Swalwell. Marianne Williamson, I've never even fucking heard of. So
1% polling somewhere.
and I'm gonna throw out Andrew Yang too, because
He's not a Democrat.
even though he's polling well too, I listened to a podcast that he did recently, and God, if it sounds like he has some really great ideas that he hasn't fully thought of,
Yeah.
but somebody else would do a really good job of telling them. Like the idea of a universal basic income is an interesting premise.
Yep.
If given to me by somebody who really knows the ins and outs of it really well.
It's hard.
And Andrew Yang is not that person. He's not the messenger of that.
It's hard to go on Rogan's podcast and be the craziest person on the podcast. Like, that dude does DMT all the time. And I listened to like 15 minutes of it and I was like, I cannot follow the logic of anything you're saying. Like, you're hitting the bullet points, but everything in between just sounds like nonsense. So, don't listen to it, because I feel like it's the end of Billy Madison, where the guy's like, we're all dumber for having having heard that. But it just, trust me, it wasn't great. No, but again, his bullet points of his campaign are amazing. And with the right person, they might be fleshed out better. It's just like, I feel like he got the bullet points and he was like, I'll make it up. I'll make it up on the fly. It's fine.
If I'm not running for president, then who will?
These other 19 people.
While Andrew Yang is just like, the first to announce, and he's just like, nobody else is running for president. I guess it's just me.
Vote for me.
19 other people joined. Fuck.
I will say, I do like the field that my boy Pete Buttigieg has gotten himself into here. So he's in with Biden.
Yeah.
And I'm liking that, because I think Biden, this might be his swan song. There's a chance he puts his foot in his mouth and we're done.
Well, so I think that what we basically have here is we have 2 nights of debates, and
26th and 27th, by the way.
The way that they tried to divide this up was that they wanted to sort of have some front runners on each debate, but it really feels like the most heavy front runners are on the second debate,
which is the one he's on.
Yeah. I mean, we have Elizabeth Warren and Cory Booker and Klobuchar and Beto.
Beto, who is not a front runner, but who is a name.
As far as like the people who might have a decent enough chance of winning.
Now, who's Pete? Who's Pete going against in night 2?
Biden. Kamala Harris. Bernie Sanders. Yeah, and then there's like Kristen Gillibrand and a whole bunch of losers. But I mean, like,
but here's the thing: if he holds his own against Biden and Sanders and Harris, I think he sees a big jump in the polls. If he makes it out of South Bend to go to the debate. But
I think that if I could be the campaign manager of anybody involved in one of these debates,
okay,
I'd want to be in the first night though.
Why?
I'd want to have somebody who's in the first night, because I think it's easier to look like a rock star against a bunch of people who a lot of Americans don't even know who they are.
See, I'm putting
because I'm thinking like if I'm like the campaign manager for Beto, right? Then like you got Elizabeth Warren, who's like a name that you have to deal with, and some people know who Cory Booker is, but he's not like a huge name. I feel like your opportunity, if you have like if Beto has like a home run debate night, then he could instantly leap up in the polls a lot.
True.
Whereas like a Buttigieg would have a harder time, not because he couldn't put on the same home run performance, but he's going to have a lot of people that we know going up against him. So like a home run performance against a bunch of nobodies looks a lot better than a home run performance against Biden in his double and Bernie in his triple. And
here's the other thing I thought when looking at that list, though. Pete is essentially Beto and Elizabeth and a little bit of Julian. But when in his debate, he's got Biden, who is basically center. He's got Sanders, who's far left.
Yeah.
Right? Kamala is almost Biden, just slightly left of Biden, which leaves a lot of area in the middle for him to fill that would not be available.
And I mean, that's Buttigieg's like meat and potatoes right there.
But that's not available in the previous night because Elizabeth Warren is kind of center left. And
I put
Cory
her more on the
Booker's-
left side.
No, I just mean not as far left as Bernie, but not in the center like Biden. She's in between those
Right,
two guys.
yeah.
That's where Pete is.
But she's more Bernie leaning. She's just to the right of Bernie.
But
Like,
she fills a lot of area in the middle that he would be saying.
but a
the
lot
same
of these
talking
people
points.
do the same thing. Like
I don't
Beto
care about
does,
the
and
no-name
Amy,
people.
and
I don't care about the no-name people. They're not going to be because again, it's about the major people who you have to compete against, and we have 3 in the first night who are basically centered in the middle of the Democratic Party. Between the center and the far left, they're all kind of in the middle. Then on the second night, you have a center candidate in Biden, a far left candidate in Sanders, and Kamala Harris is just to the left of Biden. That leaves a lot of room in the middle for him to maneuver, I think.
okay, let me play a hypothetical with you real quick.
Okay.
Let's play. You are the campaign manager of blank. Tell me what your tact is here. So let's say you are the campaign manager of a worthless candidate in the first night, John Delaney. You're John Delaney's campaign manager.
I don't even know where he stands on anything. So that's hard.
He's basically no-name Biden. He's basically Biden without the
So he's in
without
the
the
center,
track record.
right?
Yeah, he's
So
center.
again, the number one thing I don't want
He's
is
more
him-
likely to say that Mitch McConnell just needs to have a beer
Okay.
and a conversation to get to the end of
So
some sort of.
I can tell you where I don't want him. I don't want him on the same night as Biden.
Well,
because-
you won that.
Because I want him to be able to never agree with any name bigger than him on the stage. So let's look at somebody else. Julian Castro. He is kind of in the center. He's got these like weird leftist slants, but for the most part, he is a center left candidate, right? So he's going to be following Elizabeth Warren and Cory Booker. Depending on what the topic is, he has a good chance of being like, well, I completely agree with Miss Warren, or I completely agree with Mr. Booker. Because his whole platform is split so far in between those like center left candidates and the far left candidates. Now, again, Warren is actually kind of in between those two. So she occupies the same space. So if I'm Julian's manager, I say, I want night 2. Give me Biden in the middle. Give me Sanders on the far left. And Kamala is just to the left of Biden. There's a lot of room in the middle there where I'm not going to agree with anybody.
See, I think that Julian Castro lucked out in his spot a little bit
Okay.
because he doesn't have the kind of energy that would allow him to get more coverage than like a Biden or a Buttigieg or a Sanders or like all these people who are more dynamic speakers than he is. So putting him on a lamer night would help him
Maybe. But again,
not look as lame by
my
comparison.
number one concern is I never want my candidate to say, well, I agree with so-and-so on the stage.
See, this is why I was saying, like, if you take, like, John Delaney, if you're the John Delaney campaign manager, right? Then I think your tact all night should just be poking holes in everyone else's balloons.
But you can do that because you're the only guy on the far right side of the party. You are a Biden. And if you are on the same night as Biden, no one's listening. They're saying, oh, he's just saying what Biden said. Or, oh, Biden said that. Like, no, it was actually John Delaney. Oh, well, whatever, they're the same guy.
Same
and
person.
Biden's the one who's going to get it. So when you're Pete Buttigieg on a different night, you have a couple of no-name guys in there who are kind of, I'm trying to see.
There's a lot of no-name guys in here.
I'm saying, I'm trying to find somebody who's in that center-left spot where he is, and I don't think any of those people are. Gillibrand's to the right with Kamala. Kamala's there with Biden. Sanders is on the far left. Yang is not even on the damn spectrum. I mean, he's on the spectrum. He's just not on this particular
Yang is on the
spectrum.
right side, but only because he went so far around the left. that he's
Basically,
back-
he has circled
he's
around from libertarianism.
circumnavigated the globe to it.
But yeah, so there's nobody in there who he's in competition with. But again, if he's in the night before, he's got Warren saying a lot of the same things that he's saying. He's got Bill de Blasio. Again, he's also on there with no other mayors, right? So he can say the phrase, as a mayor of a Republican town. I mean, nobody can say that. But as a mayor of a large town, and Bill's not going to be like, well, I'm sorry, Pete, but as the mayor of New York City,
The largest city in America.
yeah. So I mean, like, there's a couple of lucky things in here. I think that advantage him. But Bill, by the way, doesn't get to say, I am a Democrat who is running a Republican city in a Republican state, because that's what Pete can say. So you don't, if you're Bill, maybe you don't want to be on the same night as Pete Buttigieg, because, hey, yeah, you run New York City, the most left-leaning place in the country, and there's a lot of Democrats who are saying, we want to win the Republicans over. So who does that? Oh, this smaller city guy who is running a Republican city in a Republican state, but is an openly gay, veteran Democrat. That's crazy.
Let's do this real quick, because I know the idea behind the DNC doing the debate this way was that
I think it was a draw. I think
they did a random drawing of who was going to be in. I mean, they sort of like said that we're going to split up big names, so that there's some big names on each night. Even though the first night's big names are Elizabeth Warren and Cory Booker, which aren't like
Beto
as big.
Beto,
but Beto's like not really like.
Listen, if you want to see Beto, this is your last chance.
He's like
he's dropping out to go run for Senate right after.
See, this is what I'm thinking. Like, the next debate is going to have harder criteria to get in.
Sure,
you're not going to have the 1%ers in there. You're going to have to get at least like 3% or something like
maybe.
That. Yeah, 3 or 5% to be involved. So let's just say hypothetically that you can only keep 5 of these 20 people.
Okay,
which 5 are you like pre-debate saying should move on? Like even before you know how they perform in the debate, like
Cory, Elizabeth, Kamala, Biden, and Pete. That's who I'm going with.
Oh, kicking Bernie out.
Well, because I do think that I'm just picking the people who I think are not overlap. And again, who's going to actually have 5%? I think more than 5 will have 5%.
Oh, yeah. I was just sort of saying, like, if you could pick the next debate and you were limiting yourself to only 5, who are you?
Elizabeth Warren is the more electable version of Bernie.
Yeah.
So essentially what I've done there is I've picked Elizabeth on the far left, and then moving to the right, we have Pete, Cory, Kamala, Biden. And they're all relatively good speakers. And again, I am flavored towards Pete, actually, so most people wouldn't throw him in there. But I think that gives you a nice spectrum where it's far left to the very kind of.
I think more people would have Kamala in there than Pete.
Yeah, well, I put Kamala in there.
Did you?
Elizabeth, Pete, Cory, Kamala.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Biden. But only because
a lot of people would have Bernie. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. A lot of people would have Bernie, but then again, we're skewing towards the middle a little bit because Cory is closer to Biden than he is to Elizabeth Warren,
right?
And Kamala is a little closer to Biden than Cory is, and then Biden is basically a Republican. He just runs as a Democrat, so he's a Clinton Republican.
I just wish
Democrat.
I just wish I could tell so many of these people like stop running. Like it's just not going to work out for you. Like,
I am okay.
I hate to be the person who like. Because I like the idea of having as many candidates as possible because it opens up the potential of finding some diamond in the rough that we didn't know about. But these diamonds in the rough almost never actually materialize.
Well, and
we usually know about them before a debate happens.
I don't care about any of that. What I care about is that the questions that they're going to ask, if they're touching on the actual policies of the candidates, it's going to push the entire election to the left. Because a lot of these guys are talking about very leftist policies. And if it's Elizabeth versus Cory, Kamala, and Biden, you're not going to get a lot of those wild left questions that you get when you have Bernie and Elizabeth and some of these like more radical people. Andrew, who is, again, he went so far right, he ended up on the left. But like these guys bring out more liberal, more far left topics. And I think it'll skew the election so that maybe we elect somebody in the middle left, which is probably what we should do, but we'll know where they stand on those far left issues. And again, openly gay veteran serving in a Republican city of a Republican state who is probably the most honorable person who has run for this office in a long time. So anyway, and by the way, not to switch topics too quickly, but decided to go home instead of raising money for his presidential election campaign because he wanted to make sure his community was not torn to shreds.
Turned down some Hollywood fat cats.
Literally, like, he had 3 days of nothing but raising money from LA people. And instead he said, I'm canceling all this. I'm postponing all this, guys. I'm sorry. There was a shooting. A police officer shot somebody in South Bend, and I got to go home. I got to go be a mayor who leads the city and says, we're going to hold people accountable. We're going to do an investigation. It's not a witch hunt, but the initial thing says it's probably not looking good for the cop. So
Meanwhile, Eric Garcetti's here, not in Los Angeles, but somewhere, going like, "Damn, Pete, making me look bad.
I'm sitting here waiting. I got $1,000 meal on my plate.
I'm in
and
Paris
you're not
right now at some conference I have no business being at. What are you doing? Going home and doing your job?"
As you pointed out, Bill de Blasio may have been in New York twice since he announced he was running for president, both times to do a press conference where he defended police who shot people, or the FOP who said, the attorneys for some cops who said Eric Garner would have died from obesity anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And de Blasio felt like he needed to weigh in on that.
I'm getting. I'll tell you this one. I'm really getting tired of De Blasio's nicknames. Have you heard about these?
No, he nicknames people, or he has nicknames?
No, he nicknames people.
Oh, so George W. Bush. You're George W. Bush. Okay, cool.
Well,
Good for you.
he's trying to get like the Con started
For Donald Trump?
Yeah, we got to get rid of Con.
Why?
It's just like, yeah, it's like I hear it and I'm just like, I can hear the crickets like in the room of like,
Yeah.
What if I call Donald Trump Condon?
No, don't. Just don't do it.
Just quit now.
But one of the most telling things, and God bless Nate Silver, by the way. Can I just say that?
Yeah.
They've run this whole head-to-head polls. Like, who would win in November? Donald Trump versus so-and-so. And, like, anybody who's got over 2% right now is polling above Donald Trump in November. And let me tell you why that is, guys. Because you ask somebody, hey, in November, would you vote for Donald Trump or this person who you've never heard of? And a lot of people are saying, I don't know who that guy is, but I'm not voting for Trump. So that guy, I guess. And like Pete, who I love, but has no business polling at 47% to Donald Trump's 42%. Yeah. Like, where does that come from? Nobody knows. Not 47% of the country doesn't know who you are. So,
well, it reminds me of all the jokes that came out once those head-to-heads were announced too.
Yeah,
where it was just like Donald Trump 41, the machine that blows air into your eye when you're getting an eye exam 52.
Yeah,
like
just
like
and
almost literally anything could beat.
As Nate cautioned, hey, these polls that you're relying on now, early in the election, they're really bad.
Yeah.
To predict anything at the end. And oh, by the way, these are the same ones that Hillary was relying on to say, you're in a secure spot. You have nothing to worry about. You're going to win. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we know how that turned out.
Michigan, you don't even need to bother.
Yes.
To be honest, you got that one locked up.
Little grain of salt with all of that. But speaking of the president.
Yes.
Interesting interview that he gave.
To Sam Seaborn?
I mean, basically, yes. To a short, less attractive Sam Seaborn, if you will. Because I feel like he's tall. Like, not Stephanopoulos. He's short.
Yeah.
But what's his name? Rob Lowe. He's tall, right?
Well, so the reason why I make that joke is because Sam Seaborn was based off of Stephanopoulos. Mm. That's where the character came from.
That's right. That's right. A tall, good-looking Stephanopoulos.
The Bradley Whitford's character was
Josh Lyman.
Josh Lyman was supposed to be what's his name? Rahm Emanuel.
Oh, okay.
So if you think about it in terms of like a weird thing, like if you're basing it off the characters that they're based off of, Ari Gold and Josh Lyman are brothers. Because Rahm Emanuel and Ari Emanuel are brothers.
Yeah.
And those are the characters that they're based off of.
Also, go see Bradley Whitford in Godzilla. Not if you need a reason to go see Godzilla, Bradley Whitford is one of them, because I was just like, at points, so he looks like Bradley Whitford. There's no unlooking like Bradley Whitford. But at points I was like, who the fuck is this? Like, you are playing a character that is so unlike anything. It's like him in.
I had that with so this is my number one thing with actors. I'm sorry, I didn't.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
You
were just like. I'm like, whoa, very excited. All right.
I love this. I love when I'm watching something and then like 20 minutes into watching it, I'm just like, is that? And then you like go on IMDb and you're just like, it is. Yep. I was completely, and that's what I felt with When They See Us.
Okay.
Because I started watching that. We're 3 episodes in, so we have 1 episode left. And then I was watching and I was just like, is that motherfucking Blair Underwood?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then I was just like, it like hit me like
fucking 45
minutes in, and I'm just like, how did I not even notice it? And then I Googled it and I was just like, God damn, good job, sir.
See
that one too, because that was
also see that.
Yeah.
But Bradley Whitford looks like Bradley Whitford, but there were times in the middle where I forgot, because it's like such a it's like his character in Jordan Peele's first movie.
Yeah.
Not Us, but the other one.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, I see him.
Get out.
Get out. It's like, I see you, and I know that this is you, but I keep getting lost in this character that is so different from everything I've seen you in. Same thing. He's just like a paranoid conspiracy theorist, computer nerd. And I'm like, first of all, I know Bradley Whitford doesn't know how to do anything on a computer, really. So he's literally getting on the computer and he's like, and I'm like, you hit nothing. There was nothing that
It's
just
like Alan
there.
Cumming in Goldfinger or Goldeneye.
Yes. Yeah.
He's like spinning the pen with one hand and he's like clicking 1,000 words per minute with the other.
No, you're typing nonsense. All right, that's nothing happening. But it's Godzilla actually was surprisingly good. You should go check it out.
I will.
Anyway, so yes, the president. How do we get off on that? The president.
Interview with George Stephanopoulos.
Interview with George Stephanopoulos. That's right. Yes, where two interesting things happened. Now it's funny because we talked about this and you brought up one thing and I brought up the other thing. The less interesting thing is somebody coughed. McElvaney coughed. I think, and then was like thrown out of the interview, and Trump did a whole like, okay, so why don't you re-ask that whole? Do you want to adjust the camera? Do you want to like move things around? And I'll give you the same answer just without the cough in it, because he thinks that everything is just reality TV. We're just reshooting the scene. But again, if you listen to the video of him throwing him out, it sounds like a Hollywood diva, just like, if you're gonna cough, get out of here.
Well, Trump is notoriously like a germaphobe.
Yeah. Well,
so I don't know if it might be like 40% like nobody's allowed to cough in the same room as me. Mm-hmm. And it might also be like you ruined our interview. You have to get out. Like
there was a response sent to another.
It's like a 40-60 thing.
There was a response to a reporter that basically alleged he's not a germaphobe. He just sees coughing and sneezing as weakness, because if you can't control yourself, your own stuff for a moment, just get through the sneeze or get through the cough, then you're super weak. So I don't know if it's germophobia or if it's really just him thinking like, hey, well, you're weak because you coughed. Nonetheless, that was him acting like a psycho and throwing out somebody, not the worst thing that happened during this interview. Which,
I would love, if nothing else, if that turned out to be like the weakness thing.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I'm just not going to sneeze because it's his weakness. And then he has like an aneurysm because he holds it.
Slumps to the floor, and Trump's like, "Treat it like a man." I appreciate that.
President Trump died today when he had an aneurysm holding in a sneeze.
Anyway,
everyone's just like looking at each other. It's like, is it done? Does Nancy Pelosi have to do anything anymore? Or?
I mean, yeah, we still got to get the other guy out. But anyway, so the cough, the crazy reaction to the cough, not the most psycho thing that happened during the interview, because he then gave an unexpected answer to George about a question, I think. So.
Yeah, so he was asked pretty point blank if a foreign government decided to give him any information on an opponent, would he use it? And then Trump sort of just like ignored the would I use it part of it, and then just went on to this like, I love that like there's an id in Trump's psyche that you can like clearly identify when you see it happening in person, where he's like, first of all, he picks Norway as the hypothetical country which is going to give him information, which is like, it's always amazing how he picks some country in Scandinavia. Like those are the only ones he knows.
He likes the white ones.
Like, he never. I like how you would never see Trump go like, I don't know, if somebody from Cameroon called me and. Like,
they don't have intelligence.
He doesn't know that's
there.
a country. He doesn't know that's a country.
Yeah, he's the guy who's like, Africa, what's the capital of Africa? And like, it's a continent, sir, not a one country. And he's like,
Yeah, but I mean, it's Africa's city, but in some sort of African language, correct? I mean, it's not Africa's city in English. It's
right,
like
no, there's some clicks
Boo
in
Boo
there,
BB or something like that.
There's got to be a tongue click in there somewhere. That's how they do it. So, yeah.
The Trump logic just, it hurts my brain when I start thinking about it like that.
Yes, but anyway.
And then George brought up the point of like, well, if you get that information, aren't you supposed to call the FBI? And he goes, I mean, I've never called the FBI in my life. Why would I call the FBI?
I ain't no snitch.
Yeah, if he said that, that would make me feel a lot better about the situation. But he's just like, why would I ever call the FBI?
Yeah.
Maybe in a situation that calls for it.
I mean, there are times where the police, the police should never be called. But as a politician, perhaps there's some things you should notify the FBI about.
Yeah.
If you find child porn in Discovery, for example.
Yeah,
But
that's one thing that you would call the FBI for.
you think, yeah,
Protect
unless you're Alex
yourself.
Jones. Unless you're Alex Jones or his incompetent lawyers, then you wouldn't do that. But anyway.
Yeah, and then followed up by George Stephanopoulos saying, well, the FBI director said that if anyone were to get information from a foreign source, then they should alert the FBI. And then Trump says the FBI director is wrong, which is like, there's so many fucking levels to this thing.
Oh, yes.
And it's incredible that we can't seem to rally support around the idea of, at the very least, investigating him publicly.
So, funny thing about that investigation has maybe taken a turn because for the first time, the Democratic hero,
the golden light.
yes, AOC, I forgot her first name, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, this week called for impeachment investigation to be opened. And I just keep relating it to like My Cartoon President because I know it's not real, but I feel like Schumer and Pelosi have that kind of fear about her. They're just like, shit, now she's wading into this.
Now
what are we
she's
gonna
saying
do?
Yeah.
But so she officially called for an impeachment. I don't know if that'll make a difference. I think that Nancy has should have some concerns because you're basically placing yourself. She created a battle line of saying, hey, a lot of young Democrats listen to me. Are you going to side with us or are you going to side with Trump? And it doesn't matter if it's successful because, again, a lot of this stuff wouldn't pass the Senate no matter what happens. But, she called for it. So
I just... To me, it seems... You remember when O.J. Simpson was supposed to turn himself in?
In Nevada?
No, in the Nicole Brown and...
Oh, that happened 35 years ago.
Yeah.
Today.
But you remember like the lawyers had made an agreement that
Yes.
O.J. was going to come to the police station and turn himself in. And he didn't, and then he ended up going on the Bronco chase instead.
Yeah. And they're hitting up
Like,
the lawyers, and
yeah.
they're like, I don't know, man. I don't know what he's doing.
And at the end of it, the police still didn't want to get on OJ's case about it, and that started the whole thing where like he was getting this special treatment throughout the entire trial and things like that.
I'm not black. I'm OJ.
I sort of feel like this is the same sort of thing that's happening on like a much larger scale with Trump, where it's just like, all right, Donald, we're going to call your lawyer and the director, the attorney general, in to testify. They're going to show up on Thursday, and if they don't, we're going to be really upset about it. It's just like they didn't show up, and it's just like, all right, well, maybe he's going to show up later.
Yeah.
Then you see him on a Bronco.
How about this? We're going to postpone it until next Wednesday, and they better show up. And then on Wednesday, it's a fucking Bronco around 695.
Bill Barge. Just piloting the Bronco.
Oh, man.
Just like at some point you just gotta like, like like when we talked about police shootings in the past, where I was just like, well, the police gave warning,
Yes.
and then
you became an apologist
you can't
for
really
the police? Yeah.
no, I'm saying you can't really blame anything that happens after they gave the explicit warning of like get down or else I'm going to shoot you.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like there needs to be that sort of like hard-nosed integrity going on with the Congress too, where it's just like get down. And it's like Bill Barr's like, I won't. Bam, bam, bam. Like just like skip ahead to the part where you're really hard on it. Like don't.
To be fair, then sometimes they abuse that though, like Nuremberg, who said out of nowhere, "Get on the ground," and he's like, "Wait, what? What are you saying to me?" Bam, knocked down. Anyway, but
I fear for my life.
yes. So we are running a little long.
Yeah.
So actually, let's go ahead and take a trip on down to the Baltimore corner.
Where you get the straight dope.
Exactly. Back to the shot. Nope, that's me. That's not both of us. There we go. All right. So, top story. Body cam released. We talked last week about the reaction of the FOP without the body cam. And this week, the body cam was released. And, I mean, at some point, they just got to fire Mancuso, right? Like, he cannot lead the FOP after this. I mean, he will, but...
Just... I love the blind ignorance of like, I'm just going to say whatever he did was right just because he's a police officer, and I hope that he won't prove me wrong. And
well, because I talked to him, and he said he told me he did nothing wrong and that the body cam is going to make everything all right. And then, he's sitting in his office like, well, shit. All right. Okay. How are we going to spin this? What are we going to do?
You know what the problem is? Is that like, I I remember like way back when the Ray Rice incident happened, and Ray Rice had said that he had told everybody exactly what had happened.
Oh, and then the video.
But there was no video of it.
Yeah,
And like the Ravens were like willing to like just have him suspended for a couple games, and then he was going to come back and it would all be fine.
Yeah, then the video.
But the video came out, and then we realized that even though Ray Rice said exactly what was on it, like you couldn't actually see the video without like having to punish him more.
Yeah.
So like there's sort of this thing like where I was watching the video of the whole interaction where I imagine Number going into the FOP and like talking to the director and like the communications guy and everything, and just going like, well, this guy was talking back to me and I felt a little bit nervous, so I told him like get down on the ground. And then when he wouldn't, I put him down on the ground. It's just like, oh, that's police procedure there.
Sounds pretty accurate.
Sounds like you were fearing for your life. I was fearing. I said I fear for my life, and then I ran and put him on the ground. And then, there was some back talk, and he's just like, what am I being arrested for? And I'm like, for not shutting the hell up. And like the FOP people are like, yeah, these criminals should shut the hell up every once in a while.
No, I mean, I feel like
then they see the video and they're just like, oh, he told us exactly what he said.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like
I didn't think about how this was going to play out when I saw it in person.
His description is like, maybe they even react like, all right, so
I punched my fiance in an elevator. It's just like, all right, well, who hasn't done that before? Now I see the video and I'm like, oh fuck.
I also think that when you hear someone describe it, if you're friends with them, you assume, or if you want them to be good, you kind of assume that it's the lesser version. Like I said, I'm arresting him. He wouldn't shut his fucking mouth, and you're like, all right, so maybe that wasn't great, but I bet you he didn't actually say, because you're not going to shut your fucking mouth. And then the video comes out, and you're like, wow, so that was a play-by-play that he gave us, including the 30 seconds of running time that he paused in the middle of his story, saying, so I ran over there.
Yeah, so
and then it happened.
To set it up a little bit better, you're gonna want to see the videos because it's worth it. But the shorthand version of what happens is the two of them, him and his partner, are standing by the police cruiser. They're just having like a normal everyday conversation. It looks like
parked in a neighborhood where they're oppressing people and just making them fear.
It doesn't appear like either one of them are like shielding themselves from gunfire or anything.
No, in fact, he's standing away from the open door for most of the exchange.
And then the person who was eventually arrested for charges unknown says something to Nunberg.
Which I could never hear.
I couldn't quite hear it either.
I was going to say, so
like,
I don't know if it was just me being deaf.
But it sounded like he was sassing him in some sort of way.
Why the fuck you in our neighborhood? Why don't you go down to the inner harbor?
I didn't do anything. Why you out here?
Yeah.
That sort of thing. And then he looks at his partner. He's just like, you got this? Like talking about somebody else that they might have arrested.
Right.
And he like looks at him. He's like, yeah, I got it. And then all of a sudden, like a full-on run towards the guy standing still, like tackling him, bringing him to the ground, doing the like, stop resisting, even though the guy is like, what the fuck are you doing?
Clearly, he's like, what is going on? Yeah.
And then finally, when he's being like, the second part of the video is like when he's being led away to be charged for something. The guy says, what am I being charged with? And what was the exact
I
thing?
can't think of the exact. It was something about like running your fucking mouth or something like that. But yeah.
Like you backtalked me or something like that.
Well, as we've talked about before, he made him run, which in and of itself is a
reason
chargeable
to be
offense.
arrested. Yeah,
that's a chargeable offense in Baltimore. So, although I didn't really make him run, he chose. I think he could have like walked over there slowly, and still the guy wouldn't move.
He literally could have like just walked in the direction of him and be like, "You can't do that. You're under arrest."
Yeah, I don't know that the guy would have run.
Yeah,
like, he was basically there talking.
He probably would have just kept talking.
Yeah,
and you could have peacefully like cuffed him and stuff like that.
Nah, but instead,
it's just so fun. Like when the police commissioner comes out and says that we're charging the officer with this,
it
should be your clue that this is not going to end up well for the officer.
Yeah.
Because, like, police commissioners all across this country are doing literally anything they can to not have to charge their officers.
So if you're the head of the FOP...
If there's a small little chance that what you did was right in some sort of context...
We're reviewing it. We're reviewing the case, and we'll announce later. But yeah, if you're the head of the FOP, maybe you say, listen, we back our officers. We think their training is good and that they always act correctly. But we're going to wait to review the video until we make an official statement. Because we just, who's to say? Who's to say? But instead...
I'd like to know.
Yeah. But instead, they didn't do that, and now they look really dumb. And the question is, will anything change? And my bet is no. That the FOP will still be there supporting him at his trial, trying to justifying that, like, hey, listen. Eric Garner was going to die of obesity, even if we didn't choke the shit out of him. So, is there any really loss? I mean, we saved him a few years of suffering with obesity-related diseases. So, I mean, really, we should be thanked. We should be thanked for saving him from that pain and suffering. So,
I mean, he's black, so he would have gotten diabetes eventually, right?
yeah, or shot by somebody, maybe a cop.
Are you sure you want this to be the official record of the New York City Police Department? Can you all please stop talking?
Yeah. In other Baltimore-related news, though, and we'll continue to follow that story. As a reminder, that guy was the second highest paid person in the city of Baltimore last year.
Yeah.
That guy who foolishly ran and
Over
tackled somebody.
anybody.
Yeah.
Over the mayor, over the police commissioner.
Yeah.
Over anyone in the city council.
So while that foolishness was happening across town, there was some more foolishness going on as they were celebrating a demolition party, that's what I called it, of the 4,000th home that was demolished in the city of Baltimore.
Yeah.
Due to blight. Blight had affected the neighborhood, so we knocked down the 4,000 houses. Now, maybe you celebrate that because we went to Detroit, and I think their project of just like knocking down whole blocks worked out really well. And some of those row homes that were like the last one left, but the dude owned the whole block and he like had a nice yard with a fence around and everything, that worked out great. But it turns out might not actually be the 4,000th house that they knocked down.
No, the Sun estimated that it was 1,800. So we're
a few off. $2,200 off.
A couple thousand off.
Yeah. And I don't know why, if you're Jack Young, you lie about that. I think you could do a celebration of, hey, we hit 1,800. Now, we are off of Mayor Pugh's projections. But let me tell you, as mayor, I'm going to get us back on
It's
track.
been stepping up since I got in here.
Yeah, we have been knocking down houses. Sometimes we don't even let the people move out of them. All right, we just knock them the hell down.
It's amazing how fast you knock down houses when you don't have pneumonia.
Well, that... when you don't have to stay out in the county.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's a
By
weird...
the way, is she still dying or I don't...
No, she's okay. She's okay now.
She's
okay.
Like... She resigned, and then there's been like 4 weeks where we haven't talked about her, and I assume that she's just living a normal life.
Yeah,
or like,
she'll be okay right up until that indictment gets signed. Then she'll be like, Pop, I think I got the black young.
the black young.
The black lung. But yeah, it's weird, and I know I've talked to people about how it's weird to celebrate this, but again, we've seen how this really worked. That there were neighborhoods in Detroit that looked, and we weren't there at night, so I can't really say about everything overall, but they looked a lot better without having all the row homes. And row homes are something you don't need when you go down from 1.1 million to 600,000 and falling number of people a year. So maybe this will work out. We'll see. But let's celebrate the real numbers, not the fake numbers. Hey, Jack, how about that?
I still maintain that it's all well and good if you're knocking down these old vacants and stuff like that, but I want to be assured at some point that these go back to people who can't afford homes, and not towards developers, because the number, like we talked about the Old Town Mall hundreds of episodes ago.
Yeah, you guys should check out that episode though.
It was. What was so interesting about it was the fact that they were trying, like, so many times they tried to like remake it for a developer's interest and not about like the people who would actually use it. Like,
right. Yeah.
There's no market anywhere close to there. It could be an open market for people who live in the neighborhood, but instead it was just like constantly trying to make it more beneficial for a developer. And now it will be. Now everything there will be torn down, including the projects. And
I don't trust anything until they break ground. So we'll see.
Until you see Hogan in a hard hat just knocking buildings over.
How long has Port Covington been on its way to us? You know, like we'll see. But one last piece of news out of Baltimore. The BSO, and you might not recognize that. That's the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Baltimore institution. I mean, I have gone to BSO performances, probably as a child even. Get a little bit of culture in my ass. And they are locking out their musicians because of a labor dispute. And I think you did an excellent job of kind of outlining the basis of that dispute earlier. Do you want to go back over that again?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's something I've sort of been thinking about in terms of, like, how people who have advantages in life don't necessarily think about it and like it's like me and Rob go to this convenience store and we spend $5 on something every single day. We give them a 20 and we get $15 back.
Right.
Whereas people who have lived with some sort of like, how would you want to describe that? Like,
I mean, really just privilege.
Privilege,
It's
yeah.
A privilege of whether it's wealth or just power or access, any of it.
Right.
Privilege.
But the privilege is like you go to a neighboring convenience store and you're buying $5 worth of stuff every day. And instead of getting $15 change, you're getting $25 change because the guy can't count right.
Right. And you
And-
know that, and he never figures it out.
Yeah. So you keep getting this for years. Like the guy just keeps giving you the wrong change and you just keep benefiting from it. And then eventually they fire the guy who's been giving you the wrong change and bring in somebody who's giving you real change. And you're like, well,
Wait.
I was getting all this free money. What the fuck? Like,
You're supposed to give me 25
Yeah.
and change for my 20 and my food. So
yeah, like I don't what happened here.
yeah.
And that sort of seems to be like the reaction of a lot. Like that happens in business all the time. It's just like, whoa. It's going to cost 1% more to make our flags here? Moving the whole thing to Mexico.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I
But
don't have time to negotiate with people.
basically, the musicians are saying, "Hey, we want." I don't even think they're looking for profit sharing. They're just looking for more pay. And the BSO is like, "I don't know where we're gonna get it. These tickets are $400. We don't pay you guys very much. The building has been owned since 1973. The foundation actually, I think, owns the building. The Meyerhoff, right?
We put up some lights recently a couple years ago. That cost money.
Yeah. So no, we have nothing to give you. And basically, the argument revolves down to we don't want to take less profit on this product. So since you were asking for more money, that would affect our product because we can't charge more. So we're just going to lock you out instead, and don't come to work, or you have to show up to work. That's basically it. You have to show up to work and be told, no, you can't come in. The musicians, I guess, are they're in a union, which I didn't realize, but apparently they are.
So I knew somebody who was played violin for the BSO, the parent of a kid I went to school with. And we never really got into like talking about specific money. And obviously this was 25 years ago or something like that too. So
they made $1,700, fed a family of 5, and owned a house out in the county. So
no, but I remember from the conversations that I had back then that this was basically like a better paying part-time job.
yeah,
Like, you wouldn't have to show up for 40 hours a week to do this job, but you wouldn't get paid like you would at a 40-hour a week job
Right.
either. But you would get paid more than you would if a person had like a 1 day a week job where they're Ubering.
and
or like
it's-
working at a shoe store or whatever.
It's the
Like,
BSO, so you're up at Johns Hopkins teaching a class. If you're first chair, you get to go teach a class at Johns Hopkins. If you're second chair, you're teaching at UB. If you're a third chair, you're teaching at BCCC. Like,
Yeah.
you get another job that is also music. The problem, though, is that apparently they haven't gotten a raise. So over the last 10 years,
it's
it's just
sorta-
eaten away.
It sort of felt like minor league baseball. So if you haven't heard about like how terribly the minor league baseball players are being
yeah.
treated, it's amazing. The average salary for like a minor league baseball player is like $18,000 a year or something like that.
Yep.
So it's not enough for them to live off of. So they all have to get jobs in the off season.
Right.
But then also when you're trying to be a professional athlete, there's expenses that a normal person doesn't have.
Yeah.
Where you have to buy like special food and vitamins and like workouts and like all these sort of things that you're like, well, if I'm ever going to make it to the big leagues, I got to put all my money into getting in the best physical shape I can.
Right.
But I only get paid $18,000 a year, and a person at McDonald's could make more money than that in a year.
Yep.
Like it's nuts.
And also, being a professional baseball player or a member of the BSO, during the season, you are spending way more than 40 hours of your time. So yes, it pays better than like McDonald's would or in a part-time job, but it requires more of you
Yeah.
than they would. So there is always practice, which apparently is unpaid at this point. It's like you're paid for performance.
Yeah.
So practice is unpaid, but it's required. So if you want to perform, you have to come to practice. This sounds like the racket that a couple of actor friends of ours have gotten themselves involved in. Where
Yeah.
listen, we're not going to pay you for the practices, but your practice is required in order to be in the performance, where we will pay you, but not very much. So congratulations. We're looking forward to you joining our troop.
It's I've been thinking about this a lot more too, just in terms of like freelance labor and stuff like that. I know
Yeah.
they're in a union and stuff like that, but it's amazing how like some people will have such hard lines on like what like not only do I want to get paid this much every 10 hours, but I want my 10 hours to start portal to portal.
Yeah.
Because I'm not paying to drive out to Arcadia. You're paying me. So if I leave the house at 8:30,
Yeah.
that's when my clock starts. And 10 hours hits at 8:30 p.m. when we are like
I need to be wrapped.
Yeah.
And on my way home.
Or else I'm getting this overtime
Yeah.
and I'm getting the mileage and stuff like that. And it's like, in theory, all those things are good and supposed to be getting, like you should be getting these things. But at the same time, like somebody's going to come and undercut you and say like, I'll do that for
Somebody like
$150
this
a day.
guy.
No,
This guy here.
I'm going to do that job for $150 a day. It's just like, sorry, we're not going to take care of your shit because we got somebody who's going to do it for nothing.
Yep.
Like,
But you're not going to get with that guy what you would get with me. Sorry. But anyway, yeah, so Baltimore basically just turning into the Detroit of RoboCop, and I'm just waiting for someone to suggest that
Waiting-
robot police officer.
waiting
would
for
be the answer.
somebody to pop out, just like, freeze, dirtbag.
Yeah. I'll be like, you know what, cops, unreliable. We should replace the Baltimore Police Department. I have a solution. Robots. Robot police officers. I think that's
Sprinkle
the way
a
to
little crack on him and let's get out of here.
go. All right, Dave Chappelle. Anyway, so I think that's all we have for the Baltimore corner. Oh, wait, that's not the one.
No.
There we go. That's the one. The Baltimore corner.
Got a little taste of the theme song
Yeah,
again.
there you go. Back to the two shot. So we are right about an hour. I think we're actually a little long for an hour. But I just want a couple of stories you guys should
Do you
look
want
up.
to just like
No, I don't
speed
even want
around
to
these?
lightning round it. Let's a couple of things you guys should look up this week. One, maybe we'll talk about them next week. More information anyway. One, what's happening in Honduras and how the U.S. has basically restarted our imperialist policy in Central America and also cut aid. And as you aptly put, why are those people coming here? Check out that story and you'll
Yeah.
find out why. Two,
There's a long history of why is the Central American country fleeing and trying to get to America, and then you can usually follow that story back 5, 6, 7, 10 years
Mm-hmm.
to some sort of incident where the U.S. was just like, no, you're not allowed to elect your own leader.
yeah.
Deal with this guy instead.
Let me wrap that up in a visual. You know that meme of the guy pulling the Scooby-Doo meme of the guy pulling the thing off?
Yeah.
And it's Fred pulling off the mask and it's Fred underneath. That's it. It's Americans asking like, why are all these people fleeing here? We pull off the mask. America. That's why. Because we did something dumb. 31% drop in corporate tax revenue over the last year.
Oh my God, who could have seen that coming?
Yeah, and of course now the Treasury estimated it based not on the tax cuts, but based on what they were assuming people would spend. Because by the way, part of this theme was corporations will send more money than they owe because they're good Americans.
Yeah.
That worked.
Or they're going to give people better salaries so that they pay more taxes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that did not work out. But I'll look into that. We'll talk about it more. New York passed rent control, which got broad rent control. And can we bring that concept to LA? That's the one thing that I want to just talk about. Is like rent control would be amazing if we could get it here in Los Angeles, which we probably won't because Garcetti again is in Paris for something and he doesn't really care.
It's not even rent control at this point. I think you just need to, like, actually, there needs to be like a certain New York got in trouble for this a little bit a couple years ago when they had that pour door on some huge investment.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, if you were a developer, you couldn't get any tax rebates or like kickbacks from the government unless a certain percentage of the apartments that you had in your building
Yeah.
were
Section 8.
yeah, or like for people of a certain level.
Yeah.
So you could have like multi-million-dollar condos and multi-thousand-dollar apartments in the same building.
Yep.
And one in particular got in trouble because they were making a separate door that only the people in the low housing part of the building
And more than
could
that,
get
though,
through.
they would put those cheap apartments all on the same floor block. Like, so
Yeah.
we'd put them on 5 through 9. there would be an elevator that would go from the poor door to 5 through 9, and that's it.
Yeah.
So the other people didn't have to see them, didn't have to interact with them, and all the amenities that the building bragged about were not available
Right.
to the people in those apartments because they couldn't get upstairs to the roof deck without going through the front door, which they couldn't get in. They couldn't get to the sauna or the pool or anything else. All available only to the multi-million-dollar condos, not the multi-thousand-dollar. So like they were billing this as like a great living environment, but it wasn't.
How about this as a rule? If an average Angelino is spending more than $1,000 per bedroom, then they shouldn't be able to get any kind of special, like any tax breaks or tax rebates on land or anything like that. They would normally get if. They can build a place that's really expensive where it's $10,000 a month, but you don't get any money from the government for that.
Right.
If you have apartments that are all under $1,000 a bedroom, then yes, we'll give you all kinds of things.
Let me offer an alternative.
Yeah.
If everyone in your building
doesn't involve murder.
If everyone in your building pays more than $1,000, if the average Angelino in all of your buildings, I'll even say all your buildings put together, you can build a building that is only for the super rich, but you have to then build 10 buildings for people who are of average wages in order to offset what you've charged there. Because in your complexes altogether, the average Angelino cannot pay more than $1,000 or guillotines. Just listen to me. I'm just saying, I think if you instituted the guillotine rule here in this instance, we'd get a lot of fair housing made. I'm just saying. David Palmer or Jeff Palmer would really start notching up his production of affordable housing. Just saying. Sometimes guillotines are the answer. And the other story out of New York that you should check out is something that Corey was talking about last week. Well, we talked about the story generally, but your big objection. The state of New York is now offering asylum for women who are seeking abortions, meaning that they can find a place to stay, transportation costs, et cetera, paid for by the state and the city of New York. Not the abortion itself. That would still be a cost for them. But Planned Parenthood would basically probably offer that service for a huge discount for them. And you said you were fine with all of these programs so long as the government didn't pay for it.
Well, no, I wasn't saying it like that. I was saying that usually, at least on the federal side, they want to make the federal. You're going to spend forever trying to figure out a way to allow the federal government to spend even $1 on something that will eventually become an abortion.
Yes.
That's sort of where the whole defund Planned Parenthood thing comes from, because Planned Parenthood gets money from the government, but none of that money goes towards abortions. But even the fact that they do abortions with money that isn't given to them from the federal government is like the bridge too far for a lot of pro-life conservatives.
Yep.
So I'm saying my point was that if the state is using its money that it gets from taxpayers to eventually go towards the process of getting an abortion, then I imagine that there is going to be some sort of problem along the way at some point with the feds where they're going to say, hey, you're using money to fund abortions. That's not okay with what we've been trying to do here. We're going to cut federal funding to New York for whatever.
And I would retort, but I think that you have said the word abortion enough for both of us in that little speech. So all of those stories possibly coming up on future episodes. Just educate yourself, and you'll know what we're talking about when we get there. So, and yeah.
Speaking of educating yourself, you know where you can go to get a real world-class education?
Where's that?
OTheanthem.com. O The Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line, 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595.
And of course, sorry to interrupt you there, but you can find that education also at, let me put both of us on so you can see me, at anchor.com or anchor.fm/O The Anthem.
Yep.
It's a new place to get your audible education.
Yes.
Okay, anyway, go ahead.
You can find more of me at my website, CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com, Facebook.com/CoreyBakerFilm, and at LegendCB5 on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. I am going to see a movie at some point here this week so that I can do a review. I will try and find some time to squeeze one in for these next couple weeks as well. It'll be a little daunting, but we'll see what's up. So, yeah, check that out. In the meantime, what was the last one I saw? Jesus Christ.
Aladdin?
Aladdin, yeah.
Was it Aladdin? That was
Yeah.
the last review.
That's the last. No.
The one after that. The same one you saw on the same day.
No, it was a streamer. Whoa, fuck.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, Always Be My Maybe.
Always Be My Maybe.
Which was nice. Go check that out.
Yes. And of course, you can find more of me at Robert N. Cheek on all your social networks. Make sure you check out robertncheek.com where you can find links to my political blog, news website, and the books which are available on Amazon.
Buy those books.
Including the newest book, which is available for pre-order on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and at your ebook reader provider of choice. So go check it out. The Chair is the next book, and it's going to be available this Friday, the 21st. We'll make sure to mention it a little more about it next day. As I said, it's the first book that I've written that is not part of the movement universe. Something new, and it's a nice short read, and it's cheap. So even if you haven't read anything of mine before, you'll be able to read this. I think the 99 cents is the selling rate. So if you got $1, you can read my book.
That's less than a Coke.
Less than a Coke. And I think you'll appreciate it. It's a zombie story. A dystopian future zombie story.
Ooh.
So hopefully you enjoy that.
All right. Well, I think we've done good here today.
We've done something. I don't know if it's good. But as always, you're listening to the O The Anthem podcast, part of the O The Anthem Digital Network. For Corey, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
Okay, so which one of these candidates is not real? I'm putting my money on John Hickenlooper. It's a made-up name, right? It's not a real person.
I literally have never heard of Eric Swalwell ever before in my life. So that's where I'm going to go with. Eric Swalwell, not a real
It's
person.
an Abercrombie model.
Yeah, and he's going to be a hologram on the debate. Hologram Eric Swalwell on the debate. Check that out.